certainly one of the big things about this episode was her deciding about who she wanted to kind of have as her backup. God forbid something happened to her. In her mind, was there anyone outside of Adam it could have been, or do you think for Kim it really only could have been Adam?
I called the writers about that. I was like, what about my sister? What about my parents? And they explained that my sister suffered her own trauma and probably wouldn't be in a good place to do that. And that it appears from the show, at least, in that therapy session, they asked LaRoyce's character, what do you consider your coworkers or the intelligence unit? And he said, my family. And they said, and everyone else? He says, coworkers. And I feel like that's what's so great about the team that Boyd assembled. They've become this family. So I think it's almost like they're closer than she's closer to her team than she is to her family at this point, which is also kind of dangerous that they're all sort of so committed and intertwined with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that actually comes to a head in the season finale. Like alliances will be tested.
Well, so kind of on that note, there was the moment in the shooting where it seemed like I wasn't sure as an audience member whether we were supposed to question whether Kim's shoot was entirely clean and whether that was Adam covering for her a bit. In your mind, was that something where we're supposed to question that, or is that something where that'll be playing off a little bit down the road?
No, you weren't supposed to question it in that Burgess is listening for that he is reloading. Now, I learned as a cop, even if a suspect is shooting at you, until there is a bullet back into his gun, it is not a good shoot. If I shot him and he had no cartridge in, then that would be a real problem. So it's actually good police work, I guess, on the show in that you're waiting for that moment. Otherwise, it's murder. So yeah.
Certainly Adam and Kim have been a couple, and there was even the moment in the conversation when they talk about him getting Makayla, is that they don't know if they're going to work it out. In your mind right now, as she's dealing with a very clearly traumatized daughter and also kind of trying to juggle what being a working mom is, what room is there for that relationship? Do you think they have the ability to kind of rebuild, or does she need to really focus on herself and her kid right now?
I think she needs to really focus on herself and her kid. I think that Burgess and Burzek will ultimately at some point get together. I mean, there is so much love there, but not right now.
Yeah. And does this experience change the way she does things at all? Because obviously we see it, the very final shot of the episode is her jacket with the gunshot kind of still there that she hasn't gotten rid of. Has anything from
I want to interrupt you for a second because someone asked me about that, and I think it's kind of realistic in that, like, here's a working mom, it takes place over 2-3 days, like the chance that you have time to get a real jacket or sew it, like, I mean, it's just real. Like, is it, does it seem weird when you're watching a television show that she's still wearing the jacket with a bullet hole? Maybe, but like realistically, when does she have time to go buy a new jacket or get one? And I like that about it, that like you are not putting yourself first and your kids first, and you don't have time to do everything.
No, it feels really kind of, as weird as it sounds, beautifully messy, because her priority right now is Makayla, who is going through her own trauma. And in this case, it makes sense where it's not like we're covered in blood where it's something where it's like completely unusable. It's something that's still sustainable and she can kind of work.
I mean, when I read this episode, I mean, this is such a silly thing, but when I read this episode, I was like, okay, there's a hand under a door, there's a bullet hole, like you're going to see my hands all the time. I should probably get a manicure. And I'm a working mom and I had no time. And like every time I see my hands, I'm like, my mom's going to kill me. I like my hands are like just, not pretty, which I guess is great. It's gritty, it's real. And I'm like, I look at my hands, I have like half nail polish on when I'm doing all these like hand shots. I'm like, can I get a hand model in here? But that's real. Like, I'm a real working mom and I don't have time to take care of myself right now.
I think we're all doing the best we can. And if anything,
the best we can. I mean, manicures is really low down on the priority, but it's just, I just wanted to highlight an example.